Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're completely deconstructing that old squat or die fitness dogma. We're going to dive deep into the science behind solving the absolute universal dread of leg day, and we'll use actual research to show you a completely different, highly efficient way to train.
I mean, think about it for a second. Why is the one muscle group that literally carries you through life the exact same muscle group you dread training more than anything else? We all know that visceral pain, right? You did heavy squats 3 days ago, and right now you still can't sit down on the toilet without grabbing the wall for dear life. For decades, the mantra has been no pain, no gain, and never skip leg day. But what if? What if traditional leg day is actually physiologically broken?
Okay, let's dive right into this. When you descend into a heavy squat, you naturally perform what's called the Valsalva maneuver. You take a big breath, you hold it, and you brace. This spikes your intra-abdominal pressure to over 200 millimeters of mercury. Now, the main issue here is that this intense pressure actively squeezes the main vein that returns blood to your heart. Less blood going back means your heart has less blood to pump out. So when you finish the set and finally release that breath, your brain literally isn't getting enough blood for a few seconds. That right there is exactly why you might find yourself seeing stars after a heavy set of squats.
But you know that dizziness? That's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the physiological toll. Two researchers, who are literally named Vincent and Vincent, wanted to see what actually happens inside your muscles post-squat. So they measured an enzyme called creatine kinase, or CK. This is basically your body's internal damage alarm. When your muscle fibers get torn up, this stuff just floods into your bloodstream. Think of it exactly like the check engine light on your car's dashboard. When it lights up, it's a super clear signal that something inside the engine, or in this case the muscle, is broken.
Now, a normal, healthy baseline level of CK sits quietly between 35 and 175 units. But after doing squats, trained lifters, people who do this all the time, shot up to an astonishing 1,349 units. And for untrained lifters, it was a staggering 3,272 units. I mean, that is a massive, almost unbelievable jump from a healthy baseline.
Let me just put those staggering numbers into perspective for a second. 19. That muscle damage marker is 19 times higher than normal. If your body's check engine light normally glows at a calm, manageable level 1, after a traditional leg day, it is flashing at a level 19 panic.
And here's the detail that absolutely shatters the traditional fitness paradigm. Those massive damage markers, they do not peak the next day. No, they peak 72 to 96 hours after your workout. It takes a full week, sometimes up to 9 whole days for these extreme damage levels to finally return to normal. This scientifically proves that the traditional once-a-week leg day recovery cycle where you're just agonizing for days is fundamentally broken.
Ask almost anyone in the gym and they'll confidently tell you squats are the absolute king of exercises. But a massive 2016 review published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology looked at something called the bilateral deficit. This is a crazy phenomenon where when both your legs work together at the exact same time, each individual leg actually produces 7 to 25% less force than if it worked completely alone. It's kind of like you and a buddy pushing a car, but somehow you both magically get weaker the second you push together. It makes no logical sense, but it's what literally happens with your legs during squats. So to recap, you get dizzy, you get 19 times the muscle damage, and your muscles don't even fire as hard as they potentially could.
So what's the scientifically proven solution to all this? Well, in a 2014 study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, Wes and his team tested heavy sled drags. They had some strong guys do 5 sets of heavy sled drags at 75% of their body weight. The researchers measured EMG muscle activation and found it was completely equal to back squats. But here's the difference. With back squats, you've got intense spinal load, massive lower back stress, and heavy damage. With heavy sled drags, you have a horizontal push, minimal back stress, and when they measured those creatine kinase damage markers, 0 damage spike, absolutely none.
So the crucial point here really boils down to this. 3. Because there was 0 massive damage spike, instead of agonizing for 72 hours like you do with squats, researchers found that the muscles were completely recovered in just 3 hours. Think about that paradigm shift. You get the exact same muscle activation in the exact same workout intensity, but your recovery drops from 3 agonizing days down to just 3 hours.
Now, let's walk through the mechanical setup so you can execute this perfectly and safely. First up, grab the post with your arms about 95% straight, just a tiny, tiny bend. Remember, your arms aren't actually pushing, they are just there to connect your body to the sled. Second, lean your whole body forward at about a 45-degree angle, kind of like you're in the starting blocks getting ready to sprint. Third, look down at a spot on the ground about 10 feet ahead of you. Fourth, and this is absolutely critical, brace your core like someone is about to punch you in the stomach. This protects your lower back and transfers all that raw leg power directly into the sled. Finally, step 5, stomp and drive. Drive one foot into the ground as hard as you physically can, moving it forward one powerful step at a time. Basically, just think of it like pushing a car that's completely out of gas.
All right, let's look at the actual workout protocol. Loading is absolutely everything here. You want to start with a minimum of 100% of your body weight on the sled. The golden rule? It must be too heavy to jog with. If you can run with the sled, it's way too light. You're aiming for a slow, deliberate, powerful march. You'll push for 15 to 20 yards per set, complete 4 to 6 total sets, and rest about 2 to 3 minutes between them. And hey, because of that incredible 3-hour recovery window we just talked about, you can easily do this exercise 3 to 4 times a week without burning out.
Section 2. Accessible alternatives. High-impact results with zero gym sled required.
Now, I know not everyone has access to a heavy sled or a prowler at their local gym, but researchers actually found a massive alternative, and it comes down to this number, 345%. By measuring muscle activation during incline walking versus flat walking, they discovered that walking at a 10% incline or higher increases your glute activation by a massive 345%. Not 45%, 345%. Plus, your quads and calves are working significantly harder against gravity with every single step. You literally just set a treadmill to a 12 to 15% incline and walk for 20 to 30 minutes. It completely saves the knees because there's zero impact, and you can practically do it every single day.
Our second alternative perfectly explains why track cyclists have some of the biggest quads in all of sports, even though some of them rarely touch a squat rack. Research on older, everyday men showed that 12 weeks of progressive, high-resistance cycling caused measurable, significant quad growth. Here's the protocol. First, understand that this is not your typical cardio. You have to crank up the bike resistance so it feels incredibly heavy. You pedal slowly, we're talking 40 to 60 RPM, so it feels like you are physically pushing weights with every single pedal stroke. You go for 10 rounds of 30 seconds at absolute maximum effort, with 90 seconds of rest between rounds. Your legs will be screaming, for sure, but just like the sled, there's minimal actual muscle damage, so your recovery is incredibly fast.
The third alternative really takes things to another level. Look, incline walking is fantastic. It's kind of like doing 20 light reps, giving you a great steady burn for daily active recovery. But hill sprints, those are like doing 8 heavy, grinding reps. Sprinting actively recruits your type 2 fast twitch muscle fibers, which are the ones directly responsible for growth and explosive power. Finding a steep hill, sprinting up for 10 to 15 seconds, and then just walking down to recover, doing that 6 to 8 times, it triggers a massive surge in testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1. And the best part? You are completely done with the whole thing in 10 minutes flat.
Section 3. The ultimate leg routine. How to effectively train legs 4 times a week. Because of that super rapid 3-hour recovery we explored earlier, high-frequency training isn't just a fantasy. It is absolutely possible without overtraining. Here's what your perfect week looks like. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you've got your heavy drive days. This is where you knock out your heavy sled pushes, or, if you're sledless, those high-resistance heavy bike intervals. Then on the weekend, you pick just one day for an active flush. This is your active recovery day designed to maximize blood flow and clear out the legs. You can do either the steady incline walk or those explosive 10-minute hill sprints. So, I'll leave you with a very important question to ponder. Are you ready to stimulate leg growth 4 times faster than the guy doing traditional leg day just once a week? By dropping those massive spinal loads and the 19 times higher muscle damage of traditional back squats, you can use these science-backed methods to train more frequently, recover in literally hours, and completely ditch the tired gym bro dogma. The science is incredibly clear, the routine is mapped out perfectly for you. The only question left is, when do you start? Thanks for joining us on this explainer, and we will absolutely see you on the next one.